Hey guys, today I want to talk about a different subject. It's something we haven't really ever talked about, and it's about guys that don't like their girlfriends or wives talking Tagalog around them. Some guys get really bothered by this, and I'm not quite sure why. I see it more as a form of manipulation, like maybe they're afraid the girl's going to talk about them or whatever. And it is kind of a form of manipulation, because when you live in their country, and they're living in their country, and you're telling them not to speak Tagalog, there's something wrong, you know, because they do that all the time. It's not a bad habit. It's their culture. It's their country. Of course, they're going to talk their language, you know, and it's a trait in American guys. There's a lot of American guys that come over here and they say, well, I don't want my girlfriend speaking her language around me because it keeps me out of the conversation. Somehow we see it as rude or something like that, or it's a form of manipulation. With a lot of the guys that I see doing it, it's usually a form of manipulation. They want to manipulate the girl so that way the girl can't talk about them or say anything about them, or they can, you know, the guy wants to pick up all the information that she's passing, the chismes or whatever, to somebody else. They're afraid that the chismes might be about them, and they're paranoid or whatever. It comes from more from paranoia, not, you know, rather than like, oh, I wanna, you know, get in on the conversation. Because a lot of girls talk back and forth, and it almost like gives them, even though they're right next to you, it kind of gives them another room to talk about what girls talk about, because they're talking in Tagalog. So, you know, and if you notice, sometimes like we have expat barbecues all the time. And when we have our expat barbecues, the girls kind of go one way and the guys go another way, and the guys are talking all this stuff, the girls are talking theirs. And, you know, if you're out walking around or whatever, and, you know, you run into one of your friends and you're with your girlfriend and he's got his girlfriend or wife or whatever, and the girls usually start talking Tagalog and the guys are talking English. And sometimes the guys will say, hey, wait, I don't want you speaking Tagalog around me or whatever. And I've seen this in multiple cases here. It's something, it's a really bad habit amongst Americans, and it's kind of a manipulative trait. It's very manipulative. It's kind of rude, because it's usually the girls just talking their stuff, you know, and it's okay for these girls to talk like that, because they're, like I said again, they're in their country, you know. And if you're so paranoid about them talking in their language that they might say something about you, maybe you are a problem, you know. And if you're telling your girlfriend that she can't talk in her language around you, then there's something wrong, you know, because like I said, she's in her country. It's her, it's you know, I could see that in the United States a little bit, but even in the United States, when she's talking to her friends or something, they want to talk their language because they want to keep their language alive. They don't want to forget that language. They want to be passionate about their country, their culture. Filipinos are very passionate people about their culture, and Filipinos do not like to be controlled. And if you start pushing that on them, they see that as a form of control, and eventually they're gonna get angry about it, probably. And you know, that causes issues in your relationship. When you tell a girl, hey, you can't talk your language around me, the issue is with you. It's not with the girl. It's usually with you. Trust me. You know, it's a big issue. And I see a lot, you know, being around expats all the time, I don't run into this too often. Most guys don't care. I would say like about 95% of the guys just don't care about that. It doesn't bother them, doesn't faze them. You want to talk, even if you want to talk about me, go ahead. At least you're not talking about somebody else. That's the way they feel about it. But, you know, it's that like 5% of the guys, it seems to be like a form of control. Like it might be a narcissistic trait. It could just be they're paranoid, a paranoia trait. You know, like they're very paranoid that the girl's gonna talk crap about them, or give up some of their secrets or something. You know, like like it's a big deal. You know, Filipinos talk. God knows Filipinos talk. You know, the chismes and the merry test goes around this neighborhood quicker than the phone lines, you know. And it's crazy, because it's always going to be like that in the Philippines, and nothing's going to stop it. And a lot of guys think that when they're talking Filipino, that it's stuff going back that shouldn't be going back and forth. If the girl has a phone, I'm sure she's talking to these people anyway. You know, that information is going to get out there, but, you know, there's no reason to be paranoid about it. It's just kind of craziness, and it's being very insensitive to the girl too, because like I said, you're in her country. You know, of course she's going to speak that language. Of course she's going to want to talk her language. It's her right. It's her national right to speak that language. It's her language. If you have a problem with it, you need to learn Tagalog, you know, and you need to start, you know, speaking Tagalog so that you can pick up that language and you can start understanding what she's saying. If you're so paranoid, learn the language. Problem solved. But to tell that girl that she cannot speak Tagalog, that's just downright wrong. It's wrong in every way, shape, and wrong, and way, you know, every way, shape, and form. It's wrong. And I see this all the time, and I hate to see that when it happens. And another thing that has bothered me here is a lot of the older guys that marry the younger girls, and sometimes you see this, and I've seen this quite a few times, and some of you guys probably have seen this too. You go out to a mall or something, and you see this guy that's maybe 75 years old, you know, and you know, he's knocking on death's door. He's in God's waiting room waiting to go, and he's got this girl that's like 21, 22 years old, and he's treating her like he's teaching her. Honey, you don't do it that way, you do it this way. You don't do it this way, you do it that way. You know, and it gets kind of, you know, that's something that has always bothered me, seeing that, because it's almost like they're training a dog. You know, and Filipinas are no different than Western women in a lot of ways. A lot of people think that they are. They just come with a different set of problems, you know. But to, you know, these guys, it's almost like they're like they're getting a puppy, and they have to train that puppy, and that's almost on par with that thing of telling people that they cannot speak their language when they're around you. It's kind of like that, you know. It's actually worse. It's kind of sickening to watch too, you know, because they're with this girl, and they're treating her like a 4-year-old kid. And sometimes these guys, they have like a kid or two also there. And I think it's disrespectful to the mom to treat her like that, because she's being treated like one of the kids, you know. But it's quite common in the expat world to see stuff like that. Most of the guys that are expats are normal guys, and you know, they treat their woman like they would any other woman, you know. And some of the guys that come over here, they think that that Filipinas, you know, that they're supposed to kiss your rear end or something like that, and that's the way it's going to be over here. Yes, you get a lot more respect in Asia. Yes, Filipino women are a lot different, but a lot of them are just like Western women. You know, and that, you know, when people, you know, they have the same mentality, it's just different. It's more hidden, you know. And Western women really are not all that bad. I mean, some people say, you know, they have this trip that all Western women are bad. They're not. I've known many good Western women back in the United States, but I keep hearing this stuff. You know, I'm sick and tired of the Western women. I lived in New England, and you know, and there's a lot of women there that are decent, good, kind women that I met in the Lawrence area, Boston area. So I think that assumption is just not true. Maybe they had bad luck with dating or whatever. But you know something? In the end, over here, treat your woman right. Don't take away her rights to speak her language. Don't tell her that. You're gonna, you know, it's gonna end up in a very bad way, especially when her family hears that. You know, you have to give her the right to speak her language in her country, and don't treat these women like little children. You know, they're not little children. Most of these women are smart women that, you know, and there are some women that are a little bit naive too. You're gonna run into that, but don't manipulate these women, because that's a really bad trait on your part. And, you know, I hate to see stuff like this happen, because I see it happening quite a lot. It doesn't happen too much in our group. We have a lot of guys in our group, but I've seen a few people pass through, and when I see that, it's like, really, dude? You know, you tell her she can't talk Filipino in front of you? You know, there's something wrong with that, at least in my book. I'd like to hear your comments. God bless, guys. Take care.